This week, we saw the Trump administration target Jimmy Kimmel, bringing the full weight of a federal agency against him. We also saw some Republicans unleash vile, racist, and threatening rhetoric toward Congresswoman Ilhan Omar after her comments on Charlie Kirk's assassination. Congresswoman Nancy Mace led an effort to censure Omar. It ultimately failed, but that only fueled even more grotesque and hateful language, not just from people like conspiracy theorist Laura Loomer and Republican Congressman Randy Fine, who are calling for her to be banned from Congress and even deported, but also directly from the president himself. President Trump went on social media and basically had a tirade targeting Omar and her home country, Somalia, saying in part, "What scum do we have in our country?" And on Thursday, aboard Air Force One, he said this.
I love these people that come from a place with nothing, no anything, and then they tell us how to run our country. Now, I think if she got censored, that's great. If she got impeached, that's even better. They impeached me twice for nothing, and they impeached me knowing the Republicans are on my side.
Congresswoman Omar is back here with us. So I guess we'll begin with your reaction to the language we just heard from the president there. But also I want to ask how you are doing. You've been attacked by the president, by a colleague whose office is right next door to yours, Congresswoman Nancy Mace. I know that you have received messages and voicemails from people threatening you. How are you holding up first?
I've been here before. I've been the target of the president in the most vile, bigoted, racist ways that you could imagine. And I've had to have full police detail because of that. So it is surprising that he's back at it, because I thought he's moved on and found a new person to harass. But here's, a president that is always unhinged, always deranged, always creating chaos and division. And he seems to have a real obsession with anyone that is an immigrant in this country that is not of European descent. You don't hear him talking about the accent of his wife and the fact that she came here as an immigrant or any of those things, or the fact that she gets to have an opinion even though nobody elected her into office. But he has an objection to a person who does serve over 700,000 constituents in Congress, who's literally elected, has the same certificate as he does. But I think for me is I feel embarrassed for him, because in these attacks, what he does, and I think with the likes of Nancy Mace, and whoever that Randy guy is, they expose themselves for how stupid they are. And that is embarrassing for us as a country, because these are people who are elected to positions of leadership. He's supposed to be the president of the United States, who's heading off to Europe to represent us. When he does, he's uneducated enough to understand that members of Congress can't be impeached. When you have Nancy and Randy saying, we're on it, we're going to impeach her. When they're saying they're going to deport me, knowing full well that you cannot deport an American citizen. What that displays for not just Americans, but folks on an international platform, is that our country is being led by idiots. And that is not something that we should be comfortable with as Americans, and that's not something that should make us proud. And so in this moment, I feel great sadness as an American that these are the kind of people that the world gets to see representing us.
So what do you think is at play here then? If these people are, as you say, idiots and don't understand the kind of basic responsibilities they either have and the powers that they have in Congress or in the presidency, what do you think is the animating factor behind why they come after you with such venom and vitriol?
Yeah, it's to gin up hate, and then to turn it around, to be able to raise money, to rattle their base, and I think ultimately is to get enough people to bully us into silence. And I would have hoped by now that they have learned that one thing, they are not going to succeed in silencing my voice. I have the honor and privilege of representing Minnesotans who I love, who've welcomed my family, who helped raise and educate me, and who have given me the opportunity, the privilege, the honor of representing them in the United States Congress. So that is what I bring with me every single day as I walk on those halls, knowing that there are great Americans who have faith in me to carry their voice, to fight, to make sure that they are able to afford their lives. You know, this is a president right now that's presiding over an economy that is not working for anyone. It's getting worse for everyone. He has no understanding of how tariffs work and how those are hidden taxes on Americans. I represent Minnesota, where our farmers are feeling severe economic pain because we have, you know, $22 billion in trade with Canada. So we are in pain as Minnesotans, not only because our healthcare is being threatened, not only there's food insecurity that is under threat right now, not only are we dealing with ICE terrorizing people and creating job shortages, but we're also feeling the economic pain of what these tariffs are doing to the economic vitality of our incredible state.
So, Congresswoman, I do want to go back to this week, though, because after Trump attacked you, Laura Loomer, she got on Twitter and she tweeted that you should be, quote, charged with aiding and abetting terrorism, which is a pretty huge charge, and there is no evidence connecting you to any terrorism. So my question to you is, in light of the spike in political violence and in light of all of these calls for civility, you know, do you consider that rhetoric to be incendiary and to up the threat level to you? And at what point does it cross the line from free speech, people can say anything, to harassment?
Yeah. I mean, I think when you have sitting members of Congress, you know, calling me enemy of the state, when you constantly have people saying I'm a domestic terrorist or I'm a terrorist, it is scary because we know that they have a base that is reacting to it. And you can tell that by the voicemails that we're getting. You can tell that by the number of people that have been incarcerated over the years for threatening to kill me, some that have had many weapons in their disposal. And so this is a constant threat that we live under because, you know, these people are not saying, you know, they don't agree with our rhetoric or, you know, what we say is stupid or whatever, which they also do. But they're literally saying we are a threat to the fabric of this nation. And that, I believe, is an incitement for someone to take action, and that is very dangerous. And I do hope Speaker Mike Johnson takes that as seriously as Speaker Pelosi did.
What about the Democrats? To follow up, though, specifically with that, so she is a private citizen. Mm-hmm. Would you ever consider suing for defamation? It's a super high bar since you are a public figure, but do you think you could make a case in court that would you ever consider doing that, or do you think that free speech in America is sacrosanct and you're just not going to litigate it?
Well, one, I do think freedom of speech is sacrosanct, but I also know that defamations when it comes to public servants is really hard to win. And I have consulted with lawyers before, and outside of draining me for, you know, little resources that I have and tying up our time, I don't think that there are greater chances of getting these cases even into litigation, just because of our how our defamation clause are created and litigated for public servants.
What about your Democratic colleagues? Have they done enough to defend and protect you?
I've been blessed, I would say, in many ways when it comes to like these kind of outright vitriol that I have faced from the right. There has been times where, you know, Democrats themselves have created an environment that hasn't been the best. They've learned from that, and I am really grateful that in this moment they are collectively raising their voices and speaking to the danger.
Even top leadership,
yes,
like Jeffries,
yes,
Schumer.
He issued a statement yesterday or a day before about some of these statements, and I think it is important for people to denounce them. It's important for people, especially those that are in power, to speak to the danger as we now, take a closer look of what happened to my dear friend Melissa Horman and her husband, John Hoffman, and his wife, and what happened to Charlie Kirk. I think it's important for us to say, this level of vitriol can produce dangerous results. And those of us who are in the public eye have a responsibility to not use, language that has formerly created opportunities for people to be extinct.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.